At the beginning of the film, we see a man who wakes up inside a cube-shaped room. The sides, floor, and ceiling have glowing scratches, and there are 6 doors around. When he comes to his senses, he opens 2 of these doors and sees other identical rooms, only with different colors. With interest, he goes through a 3rd door and enters. Right after doing this, he is cut into large cubic pieces, his body parts, and we notice a mechanism with crossed wires that sliced him. The mechanism folds easily and disappears. Another man named Quentin appears in a room, all confident. There he finds a guy named Worth who is unconscious and tries to wake him up. Suddenly, Quentin hears noise from one of the doors. As soon as it opens, he throws the woman to the floor, thinking she's someone responsible for this. Her name is Holloway, and she notices that Quentin is as trapped as she is. Shortly after, they hear a young woman named Levin screaming from the next room. Quentin brings her to where they are, but accidentally breaks her glasses. At this point, an elderly man, Renz, enters through the door from above, making everything even more mysterious. It soon becomes clear that none of them know where they are, how they got there, or why they're there. Quentin, however, already knows that there are dangers in the rooms because he almost had his head cut off before this. The 5 decide to stick together and look for an exit. Rena goes ahead, showing how to test if there are dangers by throwing a shoe into the rooms while holding the shoelace to see if anything happens. When he throws a shoe inside a room, the shoe catches fire. Hey, what would you do if you woke up in a strange room full of traps? The movie I'm going to summarize is called Cube. It's a very good movie that mixes horror, fiction, and mystery. Even though the movie is from 1997, I wasn't even born yet. It's an excellent movie. It beats current movies. To give you an idea, after the release of this movie, several variations and continuations of Cube appeared due to the success of the first one. So, before getting into the summary, I invite you to subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and activate the bell to receive the best recaps. He quickly pulls the shoe back and warns everyone about motion sensors in the room. He says that entering there triggers the sensors, which can burn the person to death. By throwing shoes in different rooms, they manage to discover which areas are good and which are bad. Meanwhile, Holloway thinks about who could have made the cube, thinking that maybe it's aliens or the government. After a while, the group starts to hear strange noises from outside, as if it were a huge elevator. Holloway tries to calm herself by saying that someone will come to save them. Quentin and Ren, on the other hand, think there must be a way out and suggest walking in a straight line. Affected by everything that's happening, Levin begins to despair. She's afraid that everyone will end up dying there in that cube. But Quentin comforts her, guaranteeing that everyone will be able to get out. After this, Rena says that standing still won't help, so they need to move forward in a straight line until they reach the end. Everyone agrees and begins to walk through the rooms. With this, Rennes throws his shoe into the next room and, seeing that it's safe, leads the group inside one by one. As they walk, they notice numbers at the entrances between each room. Seeing this, Holloway thinks there must be thousands of rooms. She explains that they have no food or water, which means they can only live for 3 days. Rene then suggests sucking on a shirt button to make more saliva and reduce thirst. Following his example, everyone takes their buttons and starts sucking on them. As the hours pass, the group continues using the shoe trick and moves forward. At a certain point, Ren throws another shoe into a room and doesn't see anything dangerous. However, he feels the dry air and thinks the room probably has a chemical sensor. This sensor must detect the smell that comes from people's skin. Quentin is curious about Ren's knowledge, and the old man tells him that he's a Frenchman who escapes from prisons and has successfully escaped from more than 7 major jails. Soon after, he jumps into a room that was tested with the shoe, but ends up being hit in the face by acid. The others try to pull him back, but it's too late. The acid destroys Rennes's face and head, causing a terrible death. After this event, the group realizes that the room must have had a chemical sensor that their friend didn't notice. So they need to find a better way to test if the rooms have dangers. As they walk, Quentin asks everyone what they do for a living. He starts by saying he's a police officer. Holloway says she's a doctor, and Worth says he works in an office, without giving more details. When it's Levin's turn, she only mentions that she goes out with her friends and goes to college. Quentin thinks there's a reason for everyone to be in the cube, and that it's not just coincidence. He also wonders why Levin has her glasses while Holloway lost all her jewelry. While the group continues talking, Levin suddenly reveals that she's good at mathematics. The others then encourage her to try to understand the cube's code, thinking it's some kind of puzzle. In the next scene, Levin realizes that rooms with certain numbers are dangerous, especially if the number is a prime number. She proves her idea by explaining that the room where Rena was attacked by acid had the number 149, which is a prime number. With the same technique, she checks the numbers of the next room and doesn't find any primes, so it should be safe. Impressed with her intelligence, the rest of the group praises her. Levin then jumps into the room without getting hurt and confirms that it's safe. The group continues for several hours using prime numbers as a guide. During this time, Quentin casually hits on Levin. He tells a little about his personal life, revealing that he has 3 children and is divorced. After a while, the group finds rooms with prime numbers on all doors, suggesting that there are dangers ahead. Quentin then looks at the ceiling door. Suddenly, a person named Kazan falls from above. He seems to be repeating some words and keeps asking to go to the blue room. Holloway realizes that he has mental problems. Meanwhile, Levin wonders how he managed to survive until now. When the group decides to continue moving forward, some think that Kazan is a burden, so they hesitate to take him along. However, as Holloway insists, they include him in the group, but Kazan is her responsibility. While thinking about where they are, Holloway and Quentin talk about who could be behind the cube. She thinks the government probably built something so big, maybe in a desert. Meanwhile, Quentin thinks a billionaire might have built it for fun, but Holloway finds this idea funny and laughs. Shortly after, Quentin enters a room without prime numbers and almost dies because of a trap with spinning cutting wires. This proves that Levin's theory about rooms with non-prime numbers being safe is wrong. Later, Quentin begins to suspect Worth as a spy because he hasn't said anything since they met and thinks he knew there was a trap in the room. The group then takes a break while Levin tries to understand the numbers. After a while, Quentin tricks Worth and makes him admit that he's one of the architects who designed the huge cube-shaped structure that houses the cubic rooms. When asked about who hired him, Worth admits he never met his boss. He was there just for the money. Despite the growing distrust among the group, mainly from Quentin, who resorts to violence, Worth gives them important information about the size of the external cube, which is 434 feet. With this data, Levin discovers that there are 26 rooms on each side, totaling 17,576 rooms in total. She then suggests that the numbers between the rooms can show positions, indicating where the rooms are inside the cube. With this discovery, the group decides to go to the nearest edge. They continue testing with the shoe the rooms to see if there's danger. In the next scene, the side rooms all have traps, but they find a room that seems safe below theirs. But when they're about to cross it, Kazan suddenly screams loudly, causing the room to activate some deadly traps. The group then realizes that the room has a sound-activated trap system that will be dangerous if they pass through it. Quentin suggests leaving Kazan behind because he couldn't pass because of his sudden screams. However, Holloway continues insisting on taking him along and even offers to cross the room with Kazan. After a while, everyone manages to pass through safely but with difficulty. But when it's Quentin's turn, Kazan accidentally activates the trap by making noise. This causes Quentin to almost die. Full of rage, he attacks Kazan, but Holloway stops him just in time while cursing at him. Quentin's anger then turns to her, causing a big argument between them. Holloway accuses him of preferring younger girls, suggesting that maybe that's why his wife left him. This makes Quentin so angry that he hits her. The two are soon separated by the others, and once the situation calms down, they continue walking. Finally, the group reaches one of the cube's edges, only to find a space between the door and the external part. They then use their clothes to make a rope, and Holloway courageously offers to swing outside and explore the external space. When she's outside holding the improvised rope, all she can see below is total darkness. She then tries to swing toward the external part, but the rope is too short for her to reach it. While she's hanging outside the room, the cube suddenly shakes forcefully, almost making her fall into the void below. Fortunately, Quentin manages to pull her up by the rope and hold her up, but soon after, he lets go of her hand on purpose, causing her tragic death. After the terrible incident, Quentin lies to the group, saying that Holloway slipped and fell. This devastates everyone, but they have no choice but to continue. After some conversation, the group plans to descend to the cube's lower edge. However, before that, Levin suggests they rest a bit because everyone is very tired. The rest of the group agrees with her and everyone lies down on the floor. While they sleep, Quentin takes Levin to another room. He tries to convince her to leave the others and also tries to kiss her without her wanting it. When she refuses, he starts to get aggressive. Fortunately, Worth and Kazan wake up and arrive at the room to save her. At this point, Quentin became paranoid and admits that he didn't trust Holloway before. This makes the rest of the group think that he killed her on purpose. Furious with these words, Quentin violently attacks and throws Worth into the next room. There, Worth finds Ren's lifeless body, making him start laughing hysterically. He realizes they've been walking in circles the whole time, but he also notices that the acid room where Ren died is no longer around. This makes the group realize that the rooms must be moving. Levin also realizes that the rooms with traps have numbers that are not just primes, but are powers of primes, which are a larger group of prime numbers. She remembers that a room's position number was 27, more than the expected 26, indicating that there's a bridge room leading to the exit. She starts calculating its position using surrounding numbers as reference points and realizes that it will move twice before returning to its original position. While they think about how to detect traps, Levin suggests examining all 9 numbers instead of just 3 and checking prime factors to determine safety. She's now in charge of calculating the prime factorization of 3 3-digit numbers for each room they enter. Quentin pressures her to calculate the factors quickly, but she explains that it's very complicated without a computer. Fortunately, Kazan's true abilities appear at the right time. He's actually an autistic person with special abilities who can do these calculations quickly. He unexpectedly reveals the prime factors of 567, impressing everyone. They then continue checking prime factors in the room, confirming that it's safe based on their calculations. To be sure, Quentin throws Worth to make sure through a room, which remains intact and ensures safety. With Kazan's help, the group walks toward the exit safely. Worth then elaborates a plan to overpower Quentin, who became increasingly paranoid, trapping him between the door while the group escapes. He manages to lure Quentin into a room below them and leaves him behind to face his fate. After this, the rest of the group moves forward and finally reaches the cube's bridge room. Levin steps on glass and sees that it's from her glasses that had broken at the beginning. She realizes that the exit room is the same one they started in. In other words, they should never have left the place. When opening its door, they see a lot of bright light entering the room. However, Worth decides he won't leave, as he believes there's nothing for him in the world beyond the cube. At this moment, Quentin reappears from behind and somehow manages to reach them. He tragically kills Levin by piercing her back with a broken door handle and wounds Worth with a strong stab. He then goes after Kazan, who is trying to exit the room, but before Quentin can catch him, Worth grabs his leg and holds it tightly. At this moment, the rooms begin to reorganize in the small space between them. As a result, Quentin gets trapped in the middle, causing his horrible death. Worth also dies from his injuries soon after, but at least he saved Kazan's life. The final scene of the film shows Kazan arriving outside the cube and looking at the very strong light, which might be the exit door. And so, the film ends. The question that remains in the air is, who put them in the cube? Comment your theory. And don't forget to say what grade you'd give this movie. If you want, I can bring other continuations. Don't forget to activate the bell to be notified of new recaps, so until next time.